back to another installment of the White History series, which we're gonna, just dive into Bactria, also known as Greco-Bactria. But we're gonna dive into this civilization real quick today. So, here's a map, basically showing the extent of the Greco-Bactrian kingdom, and as it's noted on the side here, it covered much of present-day Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and at its zenith, parts of Iran and Pakistan. And of course, just also make note, to the north you had the Scythians, the Parthian kingdom, nearby. So Bactria, the kingdom was located west of the Tarim Basin, where those white mummies were discovered. The same area. Yeah, basically, okay, I already got it right there. So it's this, not far from where them damn Caucasian mummies that are 5,000 to 6,000 years old were discovered. We gotta keep that in there because that's the theme of this series, white history. You know what I mean? But by telling white history, we delving into a tiny bit of Asian history. All right, moving on. So the etymology, the modern English name of the region is Bactria. Historically, the region was first mentioned in Avestan as Bagdi or Bakdi in Old Persian. This later developed into Bactris in Middle Persian and Baxel in New Persian. The modern name is derived from the ancient Greek. I'm not even going to try to say that word. And the Romanized Greek term Bactrian or Bactriani, which is the Hellenized version of the Bactrian endonym. So, moving along, the history of Tajikistan political system counts from the first half of 1000 BC, where there were the most ancient slave-holding states of Central Asia, Bactria and Sagd. In the 6th century, Bactria and Sagd were conquered by the Persian Tsar Cyrus and entered his powerful Achaemenid, that's probably a misspelling, Achaemenid Empire. So we kind of just touch on a couple of little pieces here. Let's see. All right, so in the middle of the 2nd century, the local tribes gained independence from the hated Greek yoke. This was achieved with the assistance of alien nomadic tribes, Tokars. They became legislators of the country's political life, and from the 4th century, Bactria began to be called Tokaristan or Tokaristan. By the way, some scientists believe it was during these times that Tajik nationality started its formation. So, after Tokaristan, together with the largest part of Central Asia, Afghanistan, and northern India, had joined the Kushan Empire, the new page in the history of this long-suffering state began. Those years witnessed the development of culture, rapid growth of economy, trade relations with Eastern Europe, Rome, and China. Once again, this is like a Silk Road situation area, to go back and forth to get that money between there and there. All right, so in the 5th century, the greater part of the territory of Central Asia was ruled by Turkic Khaganate. Basically, the Turks, who, on the sounds of that second word, it Could be misspelling, but I believe that's like a variation of the Khanate or descendants or people who descend from that Genghis Khan type of line. So the society became entirely feudal. It was divided into aristocracy and lower classes, and this process positively influenced the development of culture. So moving along, the second half of the 7th century was a new page in the history of Central Asia. It was characterized by the invasion of Arabs and their full rooting there. Being under the oppression of Arabian Caliphate, the people of Central Asia began fierce struggle for their freedom from violent spreading of alien culture, religion, language, unreasonable taxes, and so forth. It was then that the name Tajik originated. It meant crowned, a person of noble or origin. In the 9th, 10th centuries, there came the legendary epoch of Samanids. Crafts and trade, science, literature, and arts prospered. They developed in the language which we now call Tajik. In the 10th through 13th centuries, the territory of Tajikistan was part of many states, the Ghaznavid, Karakhanid, and the Karakati. And in the 13th century, after the invasion of Genghis Khan, the territory of Tajikistan became part of Chagatai Ulus of Mongolian state. And I believe Chagatai was one of the descendants, or maybe even a son or direct son or grandson of Genghis Khan. Drop it in the comments to All right, anyway, in the 14th and 15th centuries, Tajikistan was within the structure of the state of the Timurid Empire, basically. That was the golden age of science, in particular astronomy, literature, and arts. And a lot of this we kind of already touched on in another previous chapter, which was the Sakas. So some of these different kingdoms existed, or cultures existed in different regions of similar areas. So the other country had a lot of ties and connection to Tajikistan. The Bactria had a lot of ties and connection to Tajikistan, but they also had ties to the neighboring countries. But we'll wrap that up here. All of the rest of this stuff here is just touching on how they came under the thumb of Russia, and then eventually over time they gained independence or whatever. So that'll wrap it up for this episode. Keep it kind of short today since it's Thanksgiving. All right, thank you.